Broadcasting live. It's America's longest running talk show on computers. It's Computer America, bringing you the biggest names in technology with guest interviews, new products, and your emails. Listen live at computeramerica.com on any device around the world. Email the show at live@computeramerica.com or find us on social media. Be sure to check out our website for contests, giveaways, show notes, live video stream, podcasts, and more. You're listening to Computer America.
Hello and welcome into the Computer America Show. We are the nation's longest running, nationally syndicated radio talk show on computers and technology. Thank you for joining us. I am your host, Ben Crossman, and I hope you're all having a wonderful week. It is Friday, end of the work week, and we are going to carry you out strong with, well, a great guest because, we love talking about, the latest in products that you're going to be seeing on the shelves that you should know about. And, one of the biggest in the industry is here to talk about their newest line of, one of their latest lines of routers. And this is, of course, D-Link. They make more than routers. They make a lot of internet-connected devices. But, seems like we're going to be focusing on, why you should look at the router and say, well, maybe it would be a nice quality of life upgrade. So joining us today will be Mr. Oscar Reyes, and he is the Vice President of Marketing for D-Link USA. But before we get to that, a few things, including ComputerAmerica.com. That's where you'll find everything and anything having to do with today's program. If you want to link to today's guest, if we do any kind of articles or videos or things like that, all will be in the show notes at our website. Also be sure to check out the live video stream where you can watch Computer America, not just listen. Such as today will be, when we do computer and technology news, we'll be showing the articles and things like that. And then when we do, when we interview our guests, we'll be, showing you the product and the features on screen. So, hey, just a little something extra. But of course, everything audio focused. But let's see, last thing is, of course, our contest, where every Friday, so yes, every today, we will be giving away a prize from our friends over at Logitech, where we are giving away the M720 Logitech Triathlon mouse. It's a great device, lets you control multiple devices via Bluetooth, and we are happy to give that away to a lucky listener who just entered the contest. Very simple to do, free, absolutely, and yeah. Just, go check that out. So, with all of that said, I think we're just going to jump into this. And again, D-Link, I'm sure you've seen them before. They are all over the place where, fine technical products are sold. And you may know them from their home security cameras. You may know them from their routers. But we are honored to have him on here with us. So joining us today, Mr. Oscar Reyes. He is the Vice President of Marketing for D-Link. And Oscar, how are you doing? Thank you for joining us here on Computer America.
Well, thanks for having us. Excited to be here. Things are going great. Really excited to talk about our latest routers that we got out on the marketplace now.
Absolutely. So, yeah, it's, obviously, like I said, if you've been shopping for any one of these different kinds of products for, over the past couple of years or even the past couple decades, I'm sure you've seen D-Link. But for anyone out there who doesn't know the backstory or what it is that D-Link focuses on, could you give us a bit of a background on D-Link and a bit of your background? How did you join the company?
Sure. So D-Link is a business in Orange County, California. This is our U.S. headquarters. It's based originally out of Taiwan, and we've been in business for over 32 years now, and it's always been on the networking space. So most folks out there would know us from our home Wi-Fi routers, and on the consumer side, we're also heavily invested in the DIY home security with our cameras. But there's also the enterprise side of the business. So we do a lot of the networking switches and access points and IP surveillance equipment for more small, medium business and even enterprise solutions. And myself, I've been with the company now for 4 years on the marketing side. And, I've been in tech my whole career. And I've been in a variety of larger brand tech companies, and really excited with all the great things that D-Link's been doing over the last several years. This is an exciting time to be in consumer electronics. It's ever changing, but it's great. There's all kinds of new things that we're working on as well, so lots of new stuff coming out for us.
Absolutely. And you're right. It's a great time to be in consumer electronics, specifically because it's getting to, it's either getting there or has gotten there where I think, and, we're talking about routers today, everyone should really take note because I think everyone uses the internet in some capacity. They have smartphones, they stream, videos, what have you. They connect with friends and family. I mean, the idea of having a good internet connection isn't just for nerds or video gamers or just that sub niche. Now everyone has come to the dark side, and everyone needs a decent router. So let's get started in talking about your line of routers, and I believe we're going to be talking about either one of I think one of your flagship ones, which is the the Exo series router. So talk about why people should consider upgrading their router of all pieces, and what D-Link has to offer.
Sure. Well, I think you mentioned it there. We as consumers we're utilizing more and more connected devices in our homes every day, and the number of devices is only going to go up from here, right? So in turn, these connected devices need to consume or are consuming more bandwidth in our home than ever before. So with that, that's posing plenty of problems for our consumers out there as they're adding more devices. They're starting to realize some pain points with either lag when they're trying to stream media, where maybe even just a couple years ago it was in the main living room television, and now folks are streaming it commonly on their mobile devices, the iPads, the smartphones, and they're also doing a lot of these activities not just again centralized to one room, but it's in every room of the home. So with smart thermostats and everything these days being smart, that's really requiring more broadband into the home. And then even when you have the broadband, you need to have an appropriate router to push and to take these signals and distribute all of this data to the devices as quickly as possible.
Right.
So we've come out with a full line of routers, as everywhere from the entry-level points to the cream of the crop, and we're really excited about this latest Exo series router. It's the AC2600 dual band MU-MIMO Wi-Fi router. It's again, so from a speed standpoint, this is AC2600. That's really putting the speeds toward the top of the list. But we're also doing this at a value price point of $149. So there's a lot of great things here with this product that we're really excited about. And to mention a couple of the key features on this product, we're looking at AC2600 speeds, right? So this is a dual band router, and that's great because we're looking at 800 megabits per second on the 2.4 gigahertz band and 1733 megabytes per second on the 5 gigahertz band. So from a speed perspective, that puts this router, again, at the top. It really does scream. It's a high-performing router. But we also put a lot of technology into this. So we have 4x4 data streams built in with MU-MIMO. Now it's a bit of a mouthful, but the 4 data streams, that allows simultaneous communication to multiple devices. So as we talked about having a lot of new smart devices in the home, traditionally routers were communicating to one device at a time in a round-robin-like technique, right? It did this efficiently, but it was still, one-to-one, and you get in a line, so to speak. So now with 4x4 data streams and MU-MIMO, it's instead of having, for example, a 2-lane highway, we've opened it up to a 4-lane highway. And this allows the router to communicate to multiple devices within each stream simultaneously. So not only can you connect to more devices, but you're doing it at the same time. And I think that's really going to make a huge impact for folks that are looking to upgrade their router and their Wi-Fi in their home.
Right. So tell us about who D-Link kind of envisions would be interested in a product like this, because there's like I said, I think everyone could use a good internet connection, but there are subsets in there that are just gamers. There's large families with lots of connected devices. There's people who really dove in headfirst into the idea of the connected home. Who does D-Link kind of envision, this EXO 26 AC 2600 kind of aiming at?
Yeah, so we think this router is perfect for those who are regularly using bandwidth-intensive applications. So this is great for those that are now doing 4K streaming or heavy HD streaming, or even gaming enthusiasts who are looking to improve their Wi-Fi performance. They're going to love this router because those type of activities require low latency. Right? So this is for those that are looking to eliminate that stutter or the buffering while they're gaming and streaming. And as I mentioned, those 4x4 data streams, those are really going to help prevent a lot of the lag that happens. And then, there's a variety of different things that are built in here. So we have AC Smart Beam. That's a technology where a normal Wi-Fi signal from a router is broadcast in a donut shape. So basically, it broadcasts in a circular pattern. But with our AC Smart Beam, it focuses the Wi-Fi signal in a direct line to a targeted device. So the benefit there is that you get a stronger signal at each device, right? So now we've opened up more. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. That's something I've, and here at Computer America, we've interviewed quite a few, router companies lately. I've never heard of that one before. I mean, is that something that you kind of, because for anyone out there watching the video portion, you can see a picture of it. It has these very large 4 antennas on it. Is this like, you kind of have to guess and kind of point it where you're kind of aiming, or is this all kind of, it can kind of map things out using signals and it will automatically do this?
It's all done using signals. There's some suggested antenna placements, and really that's more of where you're placing the router in your home for optimal performance. But when it comes to Smart Beam, it's actually using the technology to send the signal, detect the device, and then send the signal directly to it. So It just cuts down a lot of that, and really that's what you're looking for in a routers. And something we spend a lot of time on here is really optimizing that performance. So again, the 4K HD streamers, the gamers that really need to cut down that lag and the latency that they might be experiencing, those would be great customers for this type of router, and also those that have Wi-Fi dead spots, right? So in this router, it comes with a high power amplifier, which makes the signal stronger from this router compared to traditional routers. It also has high power external antennas that you mentioned. So there's a lot of tech in those antennas, and then the amplifiers to boost the signal. So where they might be struggling to maybe stream on a mobile device that they weren't normally using to stream in a bedroom, this router will help solve that problem.
Right, and so let's not take anything for granted here. Talk about some of this technology that you've already mentioned, things like 802.11 AC, because this is obviously an AC designated router. Also MIMO, which I kind of want to call like MUMIMO or something like that, but whatever. And this kind of technology, is this something that will benefit even older devices, or to get the most out of it, would you need something with newer technology, like a newer computer or television?
This actually, that's a great question, and MUMIMO or MUMIMO, however you want to say it, it can be complicated to explain. The way I kind of liken it is, it stands for multi-user, multi-input, multi-output, right? So it allows a Wi-Fi router to communicate with multiple devices simultaneously. So this decreases the time each device has to wait for a signal and dramatically speeds up the network. So considering that an average household, let's say, has upwards of 8 to 10 devices battling for bandwidth simultaneously, MU-MIMO will significantly improve your Wi-Fi experience, so not just the newer devices. So for homes with Wi-Fi users, annoyances such as like the choppy video that we mentioned can really put a damper on that fun, right? So anyone that uses a Wi-Fi network will benefit from the performance of the MU-MIMO technology. And in both MU-MIMO and non-MU-MIMO devices, so these older devices, the single user, not the multi-user devices that are still very common out there, they all operate faster because all devices on the network have less time to wait in line to get the data from the Wi-Fi router. So, if you think of it in that just kind of basic way, we're sending the signals out to the devices in a much quicker way than ever before. So old or new, they'll all benefit from this technology.
Right. And then also AC, obviously you would want, network cards or computers or what have you to also have the AC, 802.11 AC, kind of label, and then they would be able to get the higher speeds, afforded by this router. So, and also, we were kind of poking around your website, and, this is something that we heard from others. I'm kind of wondering what D-Link has to offer in the space, but you mentioned for gamers and things like that, there's this idea of prioritizing what kind of traffic, because from a very simplistic view, you don't want to give the same amount of priority to, let's say, a connected thermostat that you only need to change once every day or so, and that kind of data. You don't want to give the same priority as very, very quick video gaming or streaming video. Do you do any kind of that? And what is intelligent QoS technology that we see here on the website?
Yeah, so that's a good question. So we do have intelligent QoS, and that simply what that does is it allows the user to prioritize certain device. So let's say you want your living room TV. That's where you're spending a lot of your time, and maybe it's also the resource or the bandwidth hog in the home of devices. You can set that priority to be much higher. So you can determine that I always want this television to be number one and to have the optimal performance and optimal Wi-Fi bandwidth. Likewise, you can then stagger in order the connected devices that you have in your home. So that way, you can control a bit more of where things are being placed. So things that aren't as resource intensive, like a smart thermostat or a light bulb, you can put that on the 2.4 gigahertz band and save some of the heavy lifting for the devices that truly need it. So it's a great tool for users to go in and simply drag and drop interface that we have online. Makes it really, really simple for someone to control all the devices and set the priorities for each device.
Perfect. That's just what we wanted to hear. So let's see. What else do we have? So can you talk about installation? Because a number of times during this interview already, you've mentioned that you spent a lot of time on ease of use, and replacing a router, it's not one of the most difficult, but I think to a lot of people it's very daunting because networking in general can be very difficult. So how, tell us about the installation process of switching out an old router to a new one.
Yeah. So, I completely agree. I think there are many folks out there that feel that you need an electronic engineering degree, to even embark on changing out your Wi-Fi. And most people just take the router that comes with their internet service provider, and maybe during installation it got set up once. But really, these days, we've made it so simple for folks to get up and running with a new router of ours. So setup is generally done via mobile app to get the device up and running. It'll walk users through the setup. It comes with a unique encrypted SSID and password. So it works right out of the box, which is great. We always recommend that users create their own network name and password. It makes it easier for them to remember, and it's also a great security tool. And there's also a web GUI to install. So if folks want to do more advanced configurations like MAC filtering and parental controls and port forwarding for gaming, those type of activities can all be controlled through a simple web interface. And I mentioned a lot of the drag and drop, but essentially to get this running right out of the box, it's pre-configured. You plug it in and it walks you through a few basic steps of connecting to your modem, and that's it.
Yeah, and really, it's not that complicated. It's just, I think people get a little daunted by the idea that, you take everything down and you have to, kind of reconfigure everything. But it's, it's honestly very, very simple. And unfortunately, lately I've not had, and I say lately, In the past 2 or 3 years, I haven't had a chance to check out D-Link's, online graphical user interface and things like that. But it's certainly gotten better, across the industry. So definitely nice to hear
Sure.
about that.
Yeah, and the other thing that's really nice, after you get the router set up, some folks wonder, well, how do I get all my other devices connected to it? Obviously, a cell phone might be an easy thing and something that that's in your hand every day that you're comfortable configuring or selecting a new network. But getting other devices that, like your lighting or the thermostats and things of that nature, we also have WPS buttons set up. So if you have a device, you simply push a button on the back of the router, and that sends the signal out. And basically, it's similar to how Bluetooth is working in some ways, where that it's just broadcasting a signal and it's listening for a response. So that way, it makes it easier for the device that you're trying to set up, communicate with the router, and it walks through the setup process for you.
Right. So, that's very cool. So you don't have to kind of, set it all up and wait for it to kind of identify and refresh. And so, no, I like that feature. That's very, very, very helpful, because if you do, participate in Internet of Things, it's, can be very helpful. So let's talk about, and this is something that we just finished saying. I think, we had a correspondent on this Wednesday talking about security, and, we always make this point that ease of use is the antithesis of security. If it's easy to get access to, if it's easy to, kind of start using, then it's easy for anyone and it's not secure. So let's talk about some of the security features built in, because, there are ways around it, but you don't want to make it too easy. You don't want to make it, no password, very obvious username, and you're off to the races. So what kind of security features does this router have?
So the EXO AC2600 router, it comes with WPA2 encryption on the Wi-Fi. And as I mentioned, out of the box, it does have an SSID password and network name predefined, which is great. So out of the box, it does have a unique identifier for the device. But for customers, we always recommend that they change the network name and password when they go through the installation process, and the app makes it very simple for them to do so. But it's very important to make that change, and choosing passwords that aren't as simple. Everyone kind of knows those rules, right? So getting something that's very unique and would be difficult to decipher. And there's also SPI firewall that basically checks at the packet level between one-to-one communication. To ensure that there's nothing fishy going on. So, for example, if I'm speaking to you, Ben, I'm the router, you're the device that's communicating with me. You're sending and receiving. The router is basically listening here, right? So all the information, the packets that are coming between you and I, should be coming from Ben, not Joe. So It's always listening. If something's coming in from Joe, it'll stop that communication and block it. There's also parental controls. So from a security standpoint, and even just from a control and an awareness standpoint, we have parental controls like web filtering that can be set up through the online interface to block unwanted sites and devices. And then sometimes those can be the things that are problematic when it comes to security. So there are parental controls. And also guest Wi-Fi networks. So this way you don't have to give your guest during a party or even the neighbors, your Wi-Fi network and password. You can very easily, it's set up at any point, you can set up a guest network that's encrypted. You can choose the network name and password. You can modify that at any time. So I think those are a few different ways that we have built into the router, again, right out of the box that will make people feel much more secure about taking a little bit of that security into their own hands.
Yeah, and definitely enjoy the guest feature of that, because so many times, I have friends over, we play video games together, they bring their laptop over, and it's like, hey, what's your password? And it's like, well, it's about 16 digits long, and it's uppercase, lowercase, numbers, and all that good stuff. And it's like, that's, and so you just end up writing it on a piece of paper that anyone can walk by and pick up. So, it's, very, very good feature that you have that. The last security feature that I kind of want to talk to, and this is something that we've been talking to our listeners for a little while about, and, it's the last couple of years. but you have something here with VPNs. And I'll admit, I'm pretty technical. Like, I've seen a lot of acronyms in my time, but you have one here I've never heard of before. If you could break this down as simply as possible, everyone, VPN, very simply, it kind of reroutes your traffic through a couple of different, servers, and essentially mask what you're looking at, where you're looking at, so that people who, want to monitor what you're doing, be it hackers, be it, ne'er-do-wells, it doesn't matter. Your traffic is kind of obscured in this entire network. But you have one here, L2TP over IPS EC VPN. Like, what the heck is this?
That's a good question. And I'm a marketing guy. I'll be honest with you. That starts getting into the level where, the product teams really, they do their expert job in setting up the routers to get these things as secure as possible. So essentially what that does is that helps to transmit data securely when connected remotely.
Okay. So, and obviously it would connect through some servers, probably your servers, and I'm guessing your servers are probably protected by VPNs and the like. So, okay, no.
Right. So when you're accessing content that might be in your home network remotely, these are the protocols that we have in place.
I gotcha. So, yeah, but again, like you said, for the average user, probably not too big of a deal, but for security-minded individuals, obviously a huge boon. So, let's see, routers. It's, folks, if it hasn't become clear by now, it's that routers are very central to a lot of people's viewing habits, entertainment, work, life. One thing that we just had on the show, Plex, and we're huge fans of what they do, but it's essentially a media curation service. A lot of people are starting to have network attached storage devices, which are hard drives attached to routers. Do you have any kind of storage features baked into your routers? Because again, more people are starting to realize it's a pretty good place to keep your movies.
It's a great place to keep your movies and access them while you're in your home network. This router does come with 2 USB ports. One is a 2.0 and the other is a 3.0 USB. That allows users to connect their own USB hard drives and flash drives to the device. So you just plug it right into the back of the router, and you can access it via any DLNA compliant device out there. So it will communicate with other DLNA compliant devices like Roku, PlayStations, and media players. There's also, it's Samba compliant. So for those that are on the PC side may know this, that essentially allows you to set up a standard Windows Explorer panel.
Mm-hmm.
So you can access your files directly on your PC. So it'll look like you just have plugged in a USB drive right into your laptop, for example. It'll appear in the same way, even though it's connected via the router. And so you can broadcast that remotely within your home network.
Very, very cool. And Oscar, I'm going to ask you another question here, but would you mind staying over for a few minutes because we're about to run into the break to
Sure.
finish up? Perfect. Great. So in just like a minute left, we'll get started here, but I've personally never been too clear on the purposes of a processor and a router. Like, I get that it needs something in there to, make everything spin and all the gadgets whirl, but you having a dual processor, you make that very clear. How does a processor affect speed in a router?
That's a great question as well. So dual core processors, they essentially need to process the data faster, right? So, we talked about all these data streams and connected devices. There's data just flying around your home. You don't want your router to be the bottleneck here. So you essentially need to have a processor that can keep up with all of the transmission that's going on. So we've provided all the speed and the dual core processor to really optimize it so that these things like the MU-MIMO, the data streams, the smart meeting technology, as it's going out quicker than ever before and communicating with all these different devices, it's processing all of that data at twice the speed than before, or twice the processor power as before.
Right. No, very well said. And you ended that right on time. So when we come back, We have a few more questions, including, well, we kind of covered dead spots already, but we're going to be talking about a couple more, where you can buy it, the price, and all that more. So everyone, Oscar Reyes, Vice President of Marketing for D-Link, Computer America. We'll be right back.
We are all Brother Wolf. 10 years ago, a group of locals banded together to create positive change. We took animals into our homes, held adoption events at local retailers, and talked to the community about our mission to help build a no-kill Asheville. A decade later, we have achieved so many victories for animals in need. There's been so much progress, yet there's still so much to do. As part of our year-long celebration, we encourage you to become a member of our special Compassionate Circle program. With a monthly donation of $10 or more, you will have behind-the-scenes access to the work we are doing at Brother Wolf. Our goal is to reach 1,000 members because we receive no government funding. Working together, we can help build and sustain no-kill communities. Learn more at compassionatecircle.bwar.org. We are a 501c3 tax-deductible organization.
And welcome back to the Computer America Show. It is 31 minutes past the hour as we continue on here with Mr. Oscar Reyes of D-Link. He's the Vice President of Marketing. And Oscar, so jumping back into this, I mean, to be clear, I've been poking around the website. I apologize if I'm not navigating this right, but I've checked underneath the EXO series because this is, obviously the EXO AC2600 that we've been talking about this entire time. But, the only thing I'm finding is the AC1900. How new is this product? And, yeah.
Yeah, so we launched this product just a couple weeks back, so really excited about it. It is our latest in the EXO series line. That makes 3 currently. It's our first one of 2017. So again, it's the AC2600 dual band MU-MIMO Wi-Fi router. This is one that we really spent a lot of time on. We wanted to make sure that we've got, a good mix and balance between price, performance, and even style. So I think you'll notice that it's got a real unique style to it with a nice X shape on the top. So the ID is really cool. I think it'll be something that folks wouldn't mind having on a desktop.
And it's interesting. I mean, I'm not sure of the logistics of it. I'm sure it probably wouldn't make sense for, a networking company, a security company, an Internet of Things company. But, it has these holes on top. And every time I look at it, I go, that would make a pretty good speaker. But no, I'm sure they're just for ventilation and obviously for heat reduction. So, yeah, there you have it. No, it does look very nice. Has those big, large antennas that we mentioned earlier to, kind of, hey, if it's sitting up against the wall of your house, point the antennas away from the wall, and you should get a better signal. Something that simple. So, and of course, speaking of price, what would the MSRP of this device be?
So the MSRP currently is $149. So that's great because, again, as I mentioned, this strikes a good balance between high performance and value. So it's got great features at $149 because not everyone is willing or even looking to spend $300 to upgrade their routers. I think a lot of folks are out there struggling with their Wi-Fi at home, know that there's solutions out there that can solve their problems, and maybe they're more on the high performance side of things with streaming, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you have to break the bank. So at $149 currently, it's a great deal out there. Folks can find this online through most major e-tail sites currently, including Amazon and BestBuy.com.
Right. Yeah, definitely go check it out there. And, to be clear, you do have an option if you do want to break the bank. You have the AC3200. So, if you are looking to break the bank, D-Link has you covered there. But no, this is, so far a lot of great features and, just routers in general. I think it's that thing that so many places I've been to, so many friends, family, what have you, they just rent the one from their cable provider that they first got. And, the thing about cable providers is they really don't upgrade every single generation. So a lot of people out there, if you're listening, you may be still running 802.11 G or even B and, in a lot of cases N. and you don't even have access to the capabilities of AC and things like that. So, and also, hey, you get to take $5-10 equipment rental fees off of your bill every month. So, just some points. And routers, super important. And Oscar, I want to say thank you so much for joining us here. Did we miss anything that you kind of wanted to mention about D-Link or routers?
No, I really appreciate you having me on today. I'm really excited about this router. I think a lot of people out there are going to love it. If you want more information on the product, again, you can find it on Amazon or BestBuy.com, and you can always check out dlink.com for the latest details. And if you want more specs, there's plenty of them on there.
Absolutely. And of course, computeramerica.com, we have links to everything that we talked about here today. So, Oscar, this is great. Please, next time you have a new router out, 6 months to a year, please come back on to Computer America. We'd love to have you.
You bet. We'll do it. Thanks for your time, Ed.
Thank you, sir. And everyone, Oscar Reyes, Vice President of Marketing for D-Link USA. Oscar, have a great one. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye now.
All right, and there he goes. So, everyone. Yep, there we go. So, and everyone, there you have it. That was D-Link. It's been a while since we had them on last, but happy that we could have them on to talk about, obviously, their latest router. And, looking at the Amazon reviews, no reason not to do this, in front of him, but hey, always like to do it after the fact. And yeah, a lot of really good reviews. 2,200 reviews, still has a solid 4 stars. So not too bad, not too shabby. So, everyone, in our remaining time here, we are going to do computer and technology news. Try to keep it nice and light and fluffy here for, taking you into the weekend. So, also, actually, let's go do that. Before we even do computer and technology news, why don't we give away a prize from our contest? So, and by the way, tens of thousands of you have entered, and one lucky listener is going to win this time. So, let's check it out. And so, let's see, let's go to winners, and let's draw one right now. So, last week, for those of you paying attention, it was Marshall Mikion. I'm sorry if I mispronounced that, but Marshall won it by following us on Facebook and listening to us in Illinois. Now, for everyone else out there, let's draw a winner. And this week's winner is... There we go. All right, so this week's winner is... Draw it here. Here we have it, and it's pulling up any second now. A little bit of a lag. There we go. Mr. Burt White. Burt White, listening to us in Wichita, Kansas. So, Mr. Burt, thank you so much for listening. Thank you for entering the contest and supporting Computer America, of course. All he had to do was follow Computer America on Twitter, and he entered the contest just that easy. So, if you want to be the next Burt White, then all you have to do, computeramerica.com, find the contest. It should be on the right side of your page, and enter. Very, very simple, and you can check it out whenever you like. All right, so now let's see. Why don't we go ahead and move on to, again, computer and technology news? And here we go. Here we go. Computer and technology news brought to you by Fire Dragon Security. All right, so why don't we get started with this one? And this one is kind of funny because obviously we've been talking a lot about AMD and their latest, obviously their latest graphics cards. And I will say that, they've been making quite a buzz. They're very, very powerful, and for the price, they have a lot of processors, and it's obviously. Their processors have a lot of, their CPUs have a lot of, juice to them, but their GPUs are in the same vein. And now we have it where AMD and their GPUs are getting sold out. And it's not making everyone quite as happy that they're selling out, where here we have it. AMD GPUs sell out in 5 minutes. Where gamers are livid at crypto miners. That's right, there's multiple people attacking this from multiple angles. So, computer processor AMD released a new graphics card earlier this week, and within 5 minutes, the product was sold out on every major online marketplace. where supplies of the AMD Vega 56 were already expected to be tight due to manufacturing issues, but the near immediate sellout left gamers seething at cryptocurrency miners for gobbling up the limited supply. So, for those of you who don't know, cryptocurrency markets have seen an unprecedented bull run in 2017. That's right. So if you're following along with mainly Bitcoin, we've seen the price of Bitcoin increase like 5-fold. Like it's gone from like 1,000, and Bitcoin now is at something like 4,500, or I'm sorry, $80 shy of $5,000. It's $4,920 to a Bitcoin. Yeah, we're about to hit the $5,000 mark. It's an exciting time to be invested in Bitcoin. And yeah, so with that being said, some cryptocurrencies are at present mined most effectively using GPUs. Because the processing is so competitive, miners need the latest technology to remain profitable. And in the past, Ethereum miners have resorted to leasing Boeing 747s to ship their processors so they could get a leg up in the hash power race. It's gotten to the point where, cryptocurrency, if you are, kind of doing it with your home computer in your spare time, odds are you're probably not even going to break even with the electricity and the initial investment, blah, blah, blah. The only way to kind of make a profit off of cryptocurrency anymore is to have large installations with a lot of hardware. And yeah, it's going to be a large initial investment to get it running. So here's what we're seeing. And the present surge in demand has often left PC gaming unable to obtain the latest GPU without paying far over market price. And they're pretty angry. Where the Vega 56, for instance, which again is the AMD GPU, is difficult to find for less than $100 over MSRP. And some retailers have attempted to give gamers access to the Vega 56 by creating hardware-software bundles that would not appeal to miners. But the end result is that the gamers still pay more for what they like. Because, yeah, any attempt to, to make it so that only gamers will buy this, you're still paying $50 more for even, let's say, $200 in video games. It's still, you're not coming out ahead. And here we have it. So saying that although AMD has publicly stated that the gaming market is their priority, the company has begun catering to the cryptocurrency mining industry, where offering dedicated drivers for mining rigs and catering to the cryptocurrency mining industry, offering stripped down graphics cards for miners, where both AMD and Nvidia and other major GPU producer have seen their stock prices soar due to the cryptocurrency mining resurgence. So the point is, we're going to leave it there, where the point is, it's a good time to be AMD or Nvidia. Not so good of a time if you're trying to be an average person trying to get the latest graphics card. It's a series of events that left gamers in the dust. There you have it. So, all right. With that being said, let's move on to another story. And, there's a couple here. How about this one? And this one may shock a lot of you out there. And I'm not shocked that you're shocked. Because who would have thought that Juicero, you may have heard of them. I believe they were a Kickstarter. They raised a lot of money. And in the end, they have said they are shutting down. So for those of you who had not heard of Juicero, they were a $400 juicing company where they set up this, big bulky device on your kitchen counter. They had these bags of pureed vegetables and fruits that you kind of swap in and out, kind of like a Keurig, but not individual pods. But, you just maybe more like a printer. You put in the ink, quote unquote, which would be your fruits and vegetables. And then you could, say that I want a carrot and apple, juice blend, whatever. And out would pop those two. So, pretty cool idea. But at the same time, The economics of it all just didn't really make sense. Where Juicero, again, it was $400 to buy the initial investment, and then the bags that were proprietary were sold at such a huge markup, because again, what you're paying for is generally one of the cheapest things at your grocery store, which is, carrots, fruits, vegetables. Maybe not the cheapest, but one of the cheapest things. And they were selling it for, $20, $30, $40 for a bag of pureed carrots. Yeah, it doesn't make too much sense. So here we go. This article coming from Engadget, Miss Jessica Condit. And Juicero, the company that shot to notoriety last year for selling an overpriced, overly complicated juicer, is closing up shop. Yeah, that's not... Here it is.
Yay!
That's the wrong one. But okay, so that was the wrong one. I was hoping for the awe, but here we go. Saying that the company is immediately suspending sales of its Juicero Press and produce packs and is offering refunds for the next 90 days. Yeah. Anyone looking to get their money back should, of course, hit up the help at juicero.com by December 1st. And yeah, so they're suspending the sales. And if you order one, or if you have one on order, I suppose, then you can get your money back. But Juicero hit the market in March 2016 for $700. Crazy. Promising to provide fresh, cold juice from a connected press. So yeah, you could connect it to your smartphone. Awesome. And however, the price dropped to $400 in January as people realized that the produce packs, which contained cut up fruits and vegetables, were just as easily squeezed by hand, no Juicero press required. Yeah, so you don't need the $700 unit to get the juice out of the, little bags that they send you. And so they said that the company offered up refunds for limited time to ease that scandal, but in the end, it simply wasn't able to make the press profitable, saying that it became clear that creating an effective manufacturing and distribution system for a nationwide customer base requires infrastructure that we cannot achieve on our own as a standalone business. We are confident that to truly have the long-term impact that we want to make, we need to focus on finding an acquirer with an existing national fresh food supply chain who can carry forward the Juicero mission. Yeah. And of course, there's a tweet here to sum up the entire thing, saying that Juicero is shutting down. Turns out you can squeeze fruits and vegetables for free. Yeah, but it's about the convenience thing. But yeah, $700, $400. Yeah, not a lot of convenience to be found there. So let's see. So, and I'm all for companies that have an interesting idea. Obviously, they were trying to capitalize on the health craze that was going on. They wanted to capitalize on the technology craze with connected devices and things like that. It's just their economics were nowhere near what they needed to be. And yeah, kind of bit them in the butt. And there you have it. So Juicero, if you have one, unfortunately, it's looking like you have a $700 to $400 paperweight. Yeah, but there you have it. Okay, so with that being said, let's see. The other story that headlined today, and kind of caught our eye because it was very, very cool. We like following what IBM is doing. We had IBM on a couple months ago talking about their quantum computers. And yeah, IBM is they've switched from being, the keyboard manufacturer or the computer manufacturer of, the everyday person to being large corporate, brands, and also doing very high tech and cutting edge stuff. And one of them is this story here, coming from Engadget once again, Mr. Andrew Tarantola, saying that IBM is teaching AI to behave more like the human brain. Yeah, exciting. Terminators. It's hey, stuff with comic books until you realize that, hey, it could possibly happen. So, since the days of Da Vinci's Ornithopter, mankind's greatest minds have sought inspiration from the natural world for their technological creations. And it's no different in the modern world, where bleeding edge advancements in machine learning and artificial intelligence have begun taking their design cues from the most advanced computational organ in the natural world. And, surprise, you own one. We all do. It's called the human brain. And mimicking our gray matter isn't just a clever means of building better AIs and making them faster, it's absolutely necessary for their continued development. Where deep learning neural networks, where you can think of things like AlphaGo, from Google, or, they have a couple other ones. I think Facebook has a couple. I mean, yeah, a lot of these neural networks are out there and doing things already in the industry. They're saying that the best machine learning systems, these are the ones that we've best developed to date, and they're capable of incredible feats, but still face significant technological hurdles, like the fact that in order to be trained on a specific skill, they require upfront access to massive data sets. Which, for a person, that's not really the case. You can sit a kid down in a classroom and say, hey, you're going to learn history. Or not even history. Let's take something a little bit more abstract, let's say social interaction. And after you talk with enough people, you start to pick up on cues, you realize very subtle features, you know how to talk to someone. Things that come naturally to the human brain are very, very complicated for these neural networks. And so, they're saying that what's more, if you want to retrain that neural network to perform a new skill, you've essentially got to wipe its memory and start over from scratch, where a process known as catastrophic forgetting. Which makes sense because, if you train a neural network to play chess and then you say, hey, guess what? You're going to identify road signs now. Yeah, it's going to try to take what it knows about chess and apply it to road signs, and that could make for very, very wonky research. So, of course, like I said, compare that to the human brain, which, which can learn incrementally rather than bursting forth fully formed from a sea of data points. It's a fundamental difference. Deep learning AIs are generated from the top down, knowing everything it needs to know from the get-go, while human minds are built from the ground up, with previous lessons learned being applied to subsequent experiences and creating new knowledge. So, yeah, obviously you're attacking this from two different perspectives. But they're saying that what if we could combine the best features of the human brain's computational flexibility with AI's massive processing capability? Because, it's that thing where, sure, humans do have the advantage, by making new connections, but the human brain will never be able to take in, 1.5 million, let's say, medical charts that look at the connection between data, exercise, the data on exercise, cancer rates, and things like that. AI is just going to do things better at some point. And that's exactly what the team from DeepMind recently tried to do. They've constructed a neural network that was able to apply rational reasoning to its task. And it works much the same way as the brain's network of neurons. And while the neurons use their various connections with each other to recognize patterns, saying that we are explicitly forcing the network to discover the relationship that exists between the two pairs of objects given. So that was a computer science major, working with DeepMind. So, and let's see. This article obviously is a bit long and it's a bit heady, of course. But let's wrap it up by saying that taken together, these advancements could provide a boon to the AI research community, saying that they want to work on what they call internal attention, saying that you'll not just choose what inputs you want the network to look at, but what parts of the network that you want to employ the calculations based on the datasets and inputs. Basically, the attention model would cover the short-term active thought process, while the memory portion will enable the network to streamline its functions depending on the current situation. So obviously they're trying to overcome the idea that you have to wipe out everything that's known about a particular topic so that you can get it to focus on another topic. Instead, it can discern what's important, what's not, and make calculations based on the data that is relevant instead of all the data accessible. So, but don't expect to see AIs rivaling the depth of human consciousness anytime soon. He says that, and this is one of the scientists there, saying that I would say at least a few decades, but again, that's probably a wild guess. What we could do now in terms of very high accuracy image recognition is still very, very far from even basic model of human emotions, and you're only scratching the surface. So, but I think artificial intelligence is going to be one of those things, just like the internet was, where it's going to be incremental at first. It's going to be very, very troublesome, very hard to do, but then it's going to, I think at certain thresholds, start exponentially getting better and better. So, yeah, but artificial intelligence, hugely important already in our daily lives and only going to get more so. So good to keep up on those kinds of stories. All right, so let's do one little bit of rumor and then we have to call it a day. But this next rumor is, here we go. So this is coming from the Next Web and reports, and it kind of makes sense that Apple's next flagship is the iPhone X, not the iPhone 8. So Apple's next flagship could be called the iPhone X, not the iPhone 8, according to a Dutch site called iCulture, saying that if the report pans out, there will be an iPhone 8 as well. It's just not the model that we've been led to think, where they claim that the bezel-less iPhone will be called the iPhone X, pronounced iPhone 10 via a reliable source based on information announced by Apple itself in Cupertino. And they're saying that, and that was a meeting that was held yesterday, and they, the source was previously correct about the 10.5-inch iPad Pros. So they've been accurate about rumors before. But let's talk about some of this, saying that the iPhone 10 seems to be the most reasonable choice, saying that it's been 10 years since the original iPhone, since the original iPhone, and that the X, of course, denotes the Roman numeral for 10, X10, blah, 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 without looking like Apple suddenly skipped a few generations. There's also a precedent to the X in the form of Mac OS X or Mac OS X. That said, the author says that they still think that the iPhone edition sounds the coolest, and saying that saying that reports several case makers think that Apple is going with. So, meanwhile, Apple is also expected to announce 2 other iPhones which don't feature a bezel-less design, and in other words, iPhones no one cares about. I feel like if you price it right, if it has good technology inside of it, bezels, sure, they're a little distracting, but bezels are not the end of the world. So, anyways, iPhone, people not paying attention, September 12th is the Apple event that they'll be announcing this stuff on. And of course, we'll cover it here on Computer America. So, everyone, the music means we are done here. Thank you so much for tuning into Computer America. I hope you all had fun. I know I did. And I hope that you join us here Monday through Friday, 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. Eastern, every single day. And from all of us here at Computer America, Houston, dry out as soon as you can. Everyone, I hope that you're safe, you are dry, you are happy, and are able to join us here next week as well. Have a great weekend, watch a movie, do something fun, and check back. So until next time, everyone, have a great weekend. See you then. Bye-bye.